I am Dian Nostikasari. I teach about cities and people, mostly how we as a society can have more sustainable development and be more resilient at times when we cannot control what happens around us as impacts of extreme climate events. I grew up in Jakarta, where I have experienced having to stay in the second floor of my parents' house for a week, most days without electricity, until the food ran out and we decided that it was time to waddle in the knee-deep murky brown water to the safe, dry house of a relative. The story of extreme climate events in cities like Jakarta, home to approximately 11 million people, is also a story about colonialism and community resilience. Colonialism is not just part of a history, but is embodied in the realities of our lived experiences. Policy decisions and investments are often made from a bird eye view. In the fastest sinking city in the world, it literally takes the form of a massive seawall shaped like a mythical bird, the Garuda. A seawall means protection. A massive seawall coupled with luxury condos means economic development. A massive seawall in the form of a national symbolic bird? Well, it's a way to buy into the public-private investments of $40 billion with the Netherlands. But there's always at least two sides of a story. In the story of communities living with flooding, there's a story of surviving, and for some, even play, in the face of poverty and vulnerability to climate change. This is the story of struggles and ultimately the story of community resilience. Decolonization allows for challenging of Western, albeit well-intentioned and persistent assumptions imbued in planning, in shaping a better world. It is a commitment to embracing differing worldviews. It must be unique and contextualized, where we collectively reshape our assumptions in producing knowledge for policy decisions and perceive tangible outcomes grounded in time and place. Community resilience has been cited as an essential component in a world of climate changing as flooding and other disasters becoming more frequent and severe. Considerations of inclusive, meaningful community engagement practices are essential to understand the relationships between the human and natural environment and to inform decisions about resources and services. Lessons from communities experiencing extreme climate illustrate how residents have adopted self-resilience strategies such as makeshift kitchen. Enabled by community-level collective narratives such as we are close-knit, hard workers, and family-oriented, these narratives reflect inherent confidence in the community's ability to rebound successfully. What does decolonizing community engagement strategies look like when I, as an assistant professor affiliated with a private university in the US, together with colleagues and students, seek to understand how we can learn from lived experiences to shape policies in vulnerable communities? We explore how non-extractive community engagement practices can become important tools toward achieving just outcomes for projects and programs. Outreach, or the act of initiating a conversation, is a first and minimum step that must happen. These conversations allow us to better understand collectively why people remain connected to their community and the values surrounding this connection in the face of extreme climate events, such as flooding. The first principle is acknowledging positionality. Positionality influences how we ask questions, collect information, and make use of those in the production of knowledge. Decolonizing work is commitment to embracing different worldviews and perspectives, recognizing each actor as a source of knowledge or expertise integral to this work. Immersive learning happens through recognizing that each of us is positioned to learn from others as well as having insights in developing an understanding of what is our collective struggle and ways that are helpful to overcome them. Cultural humility contests the belief that one can actually become competent in another culture. Rather, it is a practice of ongoing commitment to self-evaluation and self-critique for the purpose of rebalancing power. The goal is to develop non-paternalistic collaborations with communities and to relinquish their position as expert. Residents in the community are considered as having lived expertise, uniquely shaped by their experiences and positionality in the community. Recognizing this lived expertise is a step in decolonizing engagement work of outsiders. Lived expertise of resistance struggles and resilience are rarely highlighted as integral and tangible decolonizing work, particularly by states and or institutions who make decisions. The third principle is prioritizing the tangible. Consider co-developing tangible projects as an integral part rather than outcomes in an iterative process in collective learning and decision making. We engage in an immersive learning experience through a project-based pedagogy. For the purpose of this project, we draw from the green infrastructure literature that recognizes how human-built environment is only part of an ecosystem, and recognizing that nature has agency to building a landscape where human and non-humans can thrive together. Based on conversations with community leaders, a biopore installation project was agreed upon as a project where students can learn about communities living with flooding, but also contribute to a perceived tangible benefit for the community by installing DIY water retention system. When digging to install a biopore pipe, we pulled out plastics and clothing fragments, effectively acting as impermeable barriers for water. It reminds us that Jakarta's flooding problem is also a waste problem. The project leads us to other questions related to sustainability and the extent of effective role of communities in addressing wicked systemic issues. Principle 4 is non-extractive. Decolonizing community engagement also means commitment to ongoing mutual learning and capacity building process. Communities need to sustain in the co-production of knowledge long after we are gone. In our case, we train others to conduct water quality testing and engage in ongoing analysis. Reflection is where we can use theory as an instrument to linking lived experience with the co-production of knowledge. Critical reflections seek to uncover specific sets of logic about power relations, the struggles around them, and specific strategies to build alternative, just, sustainable, and resilient futures.